The word can't can be a killer. It halts any possibility of progress towards achieving our goals. When we say we can't, we are drawing an imaginary line in the sand in a permanent marker. We're going to talk about the value of the word can in today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom.
Good morning, Bob. How are you today?
I am good. I'm good.
That is nice to hear. Good morning, everyone else, and welcome to our today's edition of Today's Antidote. Like what I did there.
It happens.
It's hard when you want to say that it's today. It's hard to get away from the fact that it's also in the name of the show.
Next show name won't have today in it, I can assure you.
Although there's a morning show that's been going for a long, long time that's called Today. So how do they avoid it, I wonder? Interesting. We gotta have to check that out.
Al Roker is one of the most talented human beings alive, so that solves the problem.
Fair enough. So we can go with that. So you're saying we're not one of the most talented human beings alive?
I didn't say that, but I certainly implied it.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, welcome everyone to this edition of Today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast. As you probably know, if you've been watching, or if not, well, I'll let you know that we have a conversation each week around a topic. And actually this week, we are continuing with our topic from last week, a words of value. Last week, we talked about some of the words that I'm trying to use less. And this week, we're talking about some of the words that Bob has some challenges with and likes to try to remove. So we'll get to that in just a minute. Before we do that, though, we are going to start our show with our celebrations. So if you have a celebration, Bob, what is it?
I made dinner for someone last night and somehow it worked out. And I can cook for myself, but I made a simple dish that looks complicated, chicken piccata, and the person I made it for was quite excited by it. Quite not just it was showing a different quality of me. And so I'm thankful for the cooking class in high school, middle school, I think.
Wow.
Or junior high when I was there. Thankful for the cooking lessons that my mother gave me. Cooking lessons from my former wife that just by observation, not so much how to do it, but just watching her do it for a number of years. And the internet, which allows you to actually look at how to do something and you can find a video to make anything. And I made chicken piccata last night, which is not the hardest thing in the world to make, but smells so good and looks like it's really impressive because it's got capers and little pieces of lemon cut and, you know, makes me hungry thinking about it.
I guess so. It's funny because that seems to be your favorite meal.
Chicken piccata?
Is that true?
It's one of them.
Okay.
A nice piece of steak would be the winner.
Ah, fair enough.
But chicken piccata is pretty close to the top.
Got it. All right. Excellent. I like
there you
that.
Go. What about you?
A good celebration. What am I celebrating? Today I am celebrating. I'm actually going to celebrate a client's success story.
Oh, I like that.
Yes. I was talking with a client sort of by exchange. Their organization has been having some challenges and they were going to have a very important meeting with one of the funders that helps their organization out a lot. And I haven't gotten all the details yet. And I know that they shared that they thought it went very well. I'll learn more about it in a little bit. And I'm excited to hear more about that. And I know that they worked really hard to put together a presentation that involved a couple of people. And so I'm going to celebrate the actions that they took. I don't know the results yet. And I think the fact that they were able to do the best they could with what they had is worth a celebration. So that's my celebration today.
And Tom, just to put a little finer point on this, you and I are firm believers in celebrating the actions people take.
Correct.
That's philosophically something that's important to you and me. It's also a key component of the Renegade Success Network. Easy for me to say this morning. And I think that's something that when I explain it to people, they're often surprised by that. But what if do you celebrate even if it doesn't work out? I said, sometimes even more so.
Those are things we can't control.
Correct.
So we celebrate the things that we can control and are able
Correct.
to do. Excellent. All right. I think that's going to be an interesting lead into our conversation. Do you have something that you want to share with all of our renegades?
I didn't prep it, but pick a page.
How about 17?
17. We're going to the early pages. Okay, this is from The Renegade Way, a great book, forward by Tom Brush, and then some other guy wrote it. To support those seeking the Renegade Way, we created a virtual community, a private Facebook group called the Ring of Renegades that, as I write, in late 2020 is approaching 1,000 motivated entrepreneurs and business leaders like you. That number is now 1,200, just so you know. We wanted to gather new and established entrepreneurs and business leaders in one place. By corralling these renegades, we can learn from each other, celebrate each other's successes, and help overcome our individual challenges. By harnessing, wow, nice corralling and harnessing. Man, I got the thesaurus out that day.
Either that or you're thinking about horses. Either that or you're thinking about horses for some reason.
Well, I think I was going with the renegade cowboy thing, but that's okay. By harnessing their collective knowledge, experience, and perspective, we can hasten our own work and the work of every other renegade to figure things out. This group also provides motivation and support that entrepreneurs and business leaders rarely experience, but quickly come to crave once they have exposure to it.
We did a pretty good job of getting in a shameless plug that wasn't necessarily intentional. I just picked that number out of the hat because it's the number of the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen. Which,
I had a feeling.
Yes. All right, so let's dive into our topic. We'll have a conversation around this. We're going to talk today about the word can't. And as we have that conversation, if you have thoughts or ideas you want to share, please feel free to add them in the comments because we know that'll add value to the conversation that we're having. And at the end, Bob and I will each offer our one thing or today's antidote that might help you today or somewhere down the road. And of course, we welcome your antidote if you have one as well. So, Bob, the word can't. I know that many of the words that we're talking about this week are words that create challenges for you because you're the one who selected them. So talk a little bit about that word.
So the word can't is one that I hear come up a lot, and it came up most when I was teaching college. So I'd have students, I taught a lot of writing courses. Most of my students were not strong writers. They could be, but they just were taught that they weren't great writers. And there would be a moment at the beginning of every first class or second class where 4 or 5 students would walk up to me individually and go, I just can't write. This is going to be really hard for me because I can't write. And I'd say to them, why not? Well, my 9th grade teacher told me I couldn't write. And I'd say to them, hey, wow, I didn't realize your 9th grade teacher made that much of an impact on you. Well, man, I'm your college teacher. I'm going to have a huge impact if your 9th grade teacher had that big an impact. Wow. Thank you for coming here today. And they would laugh and I'd say, how about this? How about if you try and we'll figure it out? And every single time when they tried, they started to realize that it wasn't can't. It was afraid to try something that might be difficult. And I think I saw that again and again when I was teaching, and I've seen it when I deal with business leaders and entrepreneurs. I can't run the meeting that way. I can't do a sales call that way. I can't change how we do this. We've always done it this way. And it's like the word impossible. Yesterday we talked about impossible. What would make it possible? Oh, well, you have to do this. Is that doable? No. What's doable? I think can't's another one of those words to me that it draws the line, and maybe it's like impossible where it gives the opportunity to figure out what can happen. And it's not always that, there are things that can't happen. I am not going to be an Olympic athlete. It's not going to happen. I can't be an Olympic athlete. However, I could be the best athlete that I can be, and I could be really good at the local racquetball tournament. I could be really good at, running. I could be really good at golf. Well, that would be a stretch. But who's to say what can't happen? Because every day we see evidence that what someone thought couldn't happen actually could. What do you think about all that?
Well, I think can't is an interesting word to me. I mean, there was a lot in there that you shared. And I do believe that at times it is a belief. It's not a statement of fact. And many times it is a belief. It is something that we think we can't do either because somebody has told us that, or we haven't attempted or done some of the work to attempt to do, or considered it because we are stuck in the ways that we have or the beliefs that we have. And then I think there's also the statement of fact that I can't do it, or that it's maybe I'm just unable is maybe a different way to look at it rather than can't is, if you said to me, hey, Tom, can you be over here in 5 minutes? Like right now, given everything that I have, I can't do that. Now, that's not to say that, again, something couldn't be invented that could teleport me and I could be there in 5 minutes. It just is not available to me at the moment. And if someone says, can you, with your hands, lift 1,000 pounds? At the moment, I cannot do that. Doesn't mean that I couldn't work up to it potentially. It then just becomes a matter of choice of, am I willing to try to get to that point? Or as Yoda would say, there is no try, there is only do. So I think that I would agree with a lot of what you said. And probably Impossible has some of that in the same way, is that it's something that it's a belief that we have that we haven't yet been able to figure out, or someone hasn't been able to get to figure out. Doesn't mean that it can't be, or is unable to be figured out.
Sorry, I was thinking through it. I think the word can't is an arbitrary assessment. I don't usually, when I say I can't do something, it's usually a gut reaction real quick, haven't thought through it. And I think if like, your teleporting example, getting from where you are to where I am in 5 minutes, that's a case where you've thought about it. The logistics, it's impossible. Therefore, it can't happen at the moment. I don't know that that's the case when someone says, hey, can I get a 20% discount on what you're offering? No, we don't do that. We can't. Well, maybe you can. In the right situation, I give you a 20% discount. If you signed a 10-year contract, I give you 20% off to know that you're going to be my client for 10 years easily. So the can't, to me, often indicates no ground for discussion as well, right? We just can't do that. Could you deliver to my my office? We can't do that. What it really is, we don't do that. But if you sweeten the pot enough, there's an opportunity. And I think that's the part of business that I've learned over the last 5-6 years, that there's a lot of ground, there's a lot of wiggle room. But people often put the word can't up and impossible up to try to avoid having those discussions, because when you start to solve one person's problem, that customized solution scares people. It's so much easier to just, everyone gets the same thing. No, we do not ship to your house. We'll ship to your office, we'll ship here, but we're not going to ship to your house. Well, I'm really sorry. I would like it shipped to my house. We can't do that. Can I talk to your supervisor? And I had this discussion, and the supervisor said, finally said to the person, the employee was on the call, and it was the three of us, and the supervisor said, look, I don't see why we can't. We're shipping it. He literally said, I don't see why we can't. We're literally shipping it somewhere. Who cares where it's going? His office address sounds just like his home address. For all I care, we got the wrong address. Let's make this happen. We can do that for you, sir. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And that's the kind of opportunity I think that we often take off the table with the word can't or impossible. And as leaders, I think that's the other thing, when your employee says, I can't do that. Okay, what's not working? Well, I'm not trained enough, or I don't have enough time. I don't have the resources. I don't have this. I don't have that. I don't have the team I need. All those things, if you can hear any of those, that's the opportunity. That's so can't like impossible, I think, as you made real clear yesterday with impossible, I think can't can be a real conversation starter and a starting point for what is possible in a way that I think we often dismiss. And I try not to use the word can't. I try, if I use that word, it's usually well advised. I've thought through it, and I don't even want to have the discussion with you. I'm drawing the line in the sand. It's done.
So in some regards, it's a choice. We're making a choice.
I think in every regard, it's a choice. I think, yeah, that's a great way to describe it. I didn't think of that word, but that's a really good word to, yeah. And it's a door closing choice.
Yes.
Which can be difficult with teams, can be difficult with sales, can be difficult as an entrepreneur, because, I don't know about you, Tom, but I'm always trying to open doors.
Yes. Usually. I mean, there are times when it's good to close a door. And there are times when making that choice to say I or we can't do that. It's not that we're not able to, it's that we've made the choice not to do that. And
wouldn't it be better though in that scenario to say we choose not to do that, or I choose not to do that?
It would be different.
Okay.
That's one of those words I try not to use.
Right.
I think that it's there is, if you are trying, excuse me, to have some finality to a conversation, a discussion, an issue, can't is a way to shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
And in some regards, that may be the choice that you make because you are ready for it to be done. And and again, maybe if you're, I can see where that becomes a limiting belief in some regards, and it also becomes a finite decision in others. If a customer comes to you and says, I'd really like to get half off. Okay, I appreciate that that's what you'd like to do. We have made the decision and we cannot do that. That is not a good business decision for us. And we would rather not have your business in that regard than to do it for what you are proposing. I don't know. I mean, I think that it's really comes down to a choice of, are you willing to be open to the possibilities, or have you either not considered or actually have considered and have made a decision that that's the path that you have chosen?
I can think of two things I'm doing in my life right now that the word can't came up in discussions. And I'm doing them, and apparently you can.
I don't know. I guess that's the question of, are you actually able to do it?
But that's a different than can't, right?
I guess. Yes.
Are you able is assessing your characteristics, qualities, skills. Can't is, I'm not even going to have the discussion. It's over. right?
Yes, which could be a result of having attempted using your, let's say, knowledge, experience, and perspective, our language, or your physical capabilities. And you've come to the realization that it is just something you are unable to do. And I guess that's a choice.
And that's also, but that's the calculation that I don't see most people using the word can't doing. If you've made that choice, if you've made the calculation, I think that's fine. But so often it's just, we'd like a 20% discount. We can't do that. No scenario that you would ever do that. Not, what if Microsoft came to you? What if Elon Musk came to you and said, I'd like a 20% discount. I want you to be the exclusive vendor for X. Oh, well, that's different. Oh, okay. And I think that's the calculation that we tend not to do. It's easier not to just go there. We like absolutes, right?
Well, absolutes attempt to create closure. If you're the customer service person and someone asks you that and they say, we can't do that. You've probably been told that there is a standard. And at some point, you're not going beyond the standard. And so the way to shut that down is to say, we can't do that, or I can't do that. And maybe for the customer service person, they are unable to do that. That is not in their capabilities. There's someone else maybe that you could speak to if you would like, and they may have the ability to do that. And so I think I would go back, and I guess if this is my one thing, is that can't is a choice that we have made, either in that we haven't really thought about it and we're just throwing it out there, or in that we actually have, and we're using it as a way to create closure in whatever is happening.
I like the idea of thinking through it, because that's what happens so often. When someone says can't to me, I'm like, let's talk. Can we talk through this for a moment? And sometimes they're right. It won't work. It's fine. But to not have had the discussion or the thought process, to me, leaves an opportunity potentially on the table.
And that may be part of it, is that when you ask the follow-up question, why, you start to discover, have they truly thought about this? Or is that just a gut reaction based on a limiting belief that they are unable to do that?
Wow.
So I guess it opens the door for the question why. And then once the question is asked, you will have more clarity around the rationale behind the choice of the word can't.
I love the discussion. I didn't know where this would go, but it was really useful. Thank you.
Certainly. Always fun. All right, everyone. If you have thoughts or ideas you'd like to share, or you have an antidote for our conversation around the word can't, please feel free to share it in the comments. Whether you happen to be watching us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, or
LinkedIn Live.
Yes, LinkedIn Live. We would love for you to share your thoughts and ideas with us, because we know that not only will it benefit us, there's someone else out there who might be desperately looking for it. And by sharing your value, you can make a difference for them. You could also be listening to this on our podcast, and we know that there's not an opportunity to comment there, at least in writing. So we invite you to join us in our Ring of Renegades Facebook group, where we'll be talking about a word's value in different words all week long, and you can share your value there. So we look forward to seeing you inside our Ring of Renegades Facebook group, or we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern time, for our next edition of Today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, embrace the renegading you. And consider whether when you say, I can't today, or my team can't, or my company can't, whether you really mean can't, or if you just are trying to avoid having the hard discussion with yourself.
Fair enough. Or a hard discussion with someone else.
Someone else, yep.
All right, everyone. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to Today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.